Okay. So, ending, Sarissa. We're gonna flash back a little bit.
Ooh.
It's about 5 days to a week ago. You're surrounded by smoke and burning, and there's a few death rattles in the air. You're in some hills by a, as you climb atop one of these small hills, you can see a town in the distance with a giant bridge spanning a chasm in the ground. And you've just been fighting orcs, just doing what you do as a champion and his faithful minstrel companion. Just burning out an orc encampment in the canyons here.
Ending was fighting. I was checking pockets.
Checking.
Being an effective distraction, like tripping up orcs so he could kill them better, that sort of thing.
But yeah, you're talking about you're checking pockets. There are orcs here that you've been killing, and there's also the victims of orcs, just a bunch of dead people and sort of skins and very rough cloth.
Lots of loot.
Except these people seem poor, so yeah, you've gotten a few copper coins, and I'm not gonna. This is what you already have in your character sheet, so I'm not giving you.
Do we know that she's doing this? I mean, am I like watching her do this, or
no?
Or
This was before we met you guys.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Flashback.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay.
Flashback.
So for the audience at home, this is the Battle of Trestle Bridge is going on somewhere else. Carve, Pineleaf, May, Arether, Raylinial, and Terry Adwin are fighting things outside the town. This is probably... Okay, actually, you know what? Yeah, you probably do sort of see in the distance by the bridge leading into the town, you see just like a giant shape and a bunch of like smaller, presumably more orcs that have come from this encampment. And there's, a small party of defenders who are battling these people, but you can't make out details of what's going on. What brought you here to this orc encampment to start clearing it out?
The GM.
I can't actually take credit for this one. You guys came up with it.
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
It's kind of our usual routine, and we just saw this orc encampment. We're like, hey, we can totally take this.
And it looks
Actually,
like
what probably happened is I saw the orc encampment, smoke fires from a distance, and said, hey, I bet there's orcs over there. We can totally take them. I mean, you can totally take them.
And to convince me even more, she said, fire. I just went running over there after that.
Fire makes you even more stealthy.
Exactly.
Yes, because you can hide in the smoke.
These minstrels are just full of just useful information that they've picked up.
They are. Those songs really have a lot of tactics in them and other things like that.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that Andang knows I'm not a minstrel.
I'm pretty sure I do.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys actually talk about that, or is it kind of more like
on a weekly basis?
That would have been a previous like far-flung flashback. I think the original introduction was I am a. Actually, I'm not totally sure what she told him, but she wouldn't have told him.
If this is something that you're not ready for the rest of us to know yet.
Yeah,
this is up to you to reveal.
Not entirely sure what exactly her cover story is with Andang, but it is not the same cover story that she has fed to everybody else. So he's not sure he knows she's not a minstrel. However, he also knows that she tells people other things, and he's pretty sure he knows the real story. So
the character, not the player.
Yeah, the character is convinced that he knows the truth about what Sarissa is, and is okay with her telling people that she's other things because he knows what's actually going on.
Thinks he knows what's going on.
He thinks he knows. He thinks he knows what's actually going on.
So what's your after battle banter? What would you talk about as you see the sort of the remnants of a battle going on in the distance? You just had your own hands full here, but the orcs are either dead or some have scattered. Some are That would actually be pretty interesting if the orcs that were with the troll are actually running from you towards the town and weren't attacking at all. Whether that happened or not, I guess we'll never know. But because they're dead now. So, like, what do you do after a big battle?
Well, of course I use the boast emote skill.
And I'm immune.
Yes.
So I guess
So he does this rousing cheer, and I stand there looking not entirely impressed by the rousing cheer.
all right. So I'm guessing then you probably, while he's flexing and boasting and maybe giving a rousing speech about all the good that you've just done in the world, you are probably moving over towards there's just a body slumped. Not an orc, one of their victims, just sort of slumped over a log near a nearby. What used to was probably like a cook fire or campfire, but it's just like everything else here. It's just a roaring inferno right now.
Yeah,
And I presume you're going to try to loot this body.
of course I am.
And as you're probably guessing, just because I'm building you up to the specific body, this person's not actually dead yet. And so as you're...
Did they do the boast emote when I put it up?
No, they were
just
also
wondering.
immune.
They were also immune? And dang it.
They were defeated, and so they couldn't.
Okay.
And so yeah, so it's an older man. He's got like a shock of white hair, and there's wrinkles, but he seems hardy enough. And as you I guess sort of reach for him, he's reaching out and grabs you by the wrist very weakly,
Yeah.
and starts rattling something off in just this weird. It sounds like gibberish. Like what do you do on this first encounter?
Try and shake him off me.
Okay. So he probably notices then that you're scared, so he stops trying to reach out for you, and he sort of switches to just sort of broken, like, you must help me, help. And he's like trying to sit himself up. And there's like a huge gash across his chest. There's like a hole in his side that blood's slowly oozing out of. He's gonna be dead pretty soon.
Okay, you should maybe just sit there and don't try and move. What kind of help are you trying to get us to give you?
And he like starts shaking his head like vigorously at first, and then like it starts to hurt him. So he's just more subtly. He says, "Not me. You must help them. We were being hunted."
Okay, who's them?
He like gestures at like some of the other dead bodies. My people. We lived here before the Borkan came. But they weren't. We don't know where they came from. But you must be aware of the Falk. And then he slumps back.
Wait, beware the what?
There's no response. You can try to rouse him if
Definitely
you
gonna
want.
say Falcon.
Andy, let me see your canteen.
Here.
I'm gonna splash some water on his face and see if I can rouse him a little bit.
Back in the present day, ending is suddenly thirsty on this. Okay, so yeah, you splash water. What kind of? Give me a fate check. Oh, okay, yeah. So the splashes him awake. He blinks suddenly. He sits back and the Falconer. Beware the Falconer.
Beware the Falconer. Okay.
We've done many skirmishes. We know they're not any fun at all.
He will kill them all if given the chance. You must warn them. And if you,
Okay.
I hope my family got out. And you hear the all too familiar sound of a death rattle as he just sort of collapses, bent in an unnatural position over this log by the fire.
Well, that was different. They don't usually say that, Sarissa, Terry.
They don't usually give us warnings, no. Okay, here's your canteen back.
Oh, thanks.
While he's putting that away, I'm going to rifle through pockets. Does he have
Okay.
pockets?
I mean, maybe not pockets, but there's probably like a pouch, either like slung around his shoulder, or yeah, probably not on him, but like underneath him that like fell off. There's like a pouch that was either on his belt or like a shoulder bag or something. And rifling through it, you can find that there aren't that many coins, much like everyone else here. Whoever used to live here, I wonder if you'll ever figure that out. They weren't very rich. They'd only have a couple of like copper coins on them, if that. But he seems to have a lot of like just like metal scraps, but not like they were scraps of metal, but they seem to have been bent into like particular shapes, as if they were meant to slot together. And like a rough, or like a small piece of hide with like rough like drawings. There seem to be doodles. On one side it looks like it's like a sketch at people, but there's a lot of like mess ups and then it's like scratched out. But on the other side, there's like they look like they're supposed to be designs for something mechanical. There's like like lines to show moving parts, but you wouldn't have the training to understand what exactly is trying to be designed. It looks kind of like a puzzle box would be the closest thing that you can guess what it is. But what its function would be, or what's inside it, what the different symbols mean, that's beyond your training.
Okay. That goes in my pouch.
Any last words before we go back to the present?
Well, he wanted us to warn somebody, so maybe we should head up to the town and see if we can figure out who we're supposed to give a warning to.
That sounds like a good idea.
Nice. Okay, so we'll fade out from that scene. Back in the present day, we see the full new fellowship with Carve. How you doing? And you're going down a tunnel. Last I remember.
Tap, tap, tap.
So, to recap from the last time, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the guards had started exploring some of the side tunnels in this main tunnel leading to their safe encampment. And down the first one, nobody ever came back, and you decided you weren't going to touch that. Down the second tunnel, there was... What was there? That's an excellent question. Sure, I wrote that down somewhere. I think that was the one where they said they found fire, but I don't know if you actually went down that way. I'm gonna check Carve's notes because he takes.
I was gonna say, I bet Carve knows.
What? Concerning, well, last time we saw this big orc encampment.
Hmm?
What?
What?
We went down. The end of the last episode is seeing the huge orc.
Oh! That was like another scene. That you weren't there. That
We
was
weren't
like
there?
No,
that
we
was
weren't
like
there.
an
Finally.
elsewhere in Middle Earth.
Yeah, that was the
Oh,
here's what's
I
going
thought
on in
that
the
was
broader
what we
world
ran
thing.
into.
No.
No.
Nope.
You were still in the main tunnel. You hadn't gone down any other side paths. I just can't remember which tunnel was the last one you decided not to go down. also don't know where my map of the tunnel system is.
If only we had a dwarf that knew where the tunnels were, exactly where they were.
Found
Man,
it. Yeah. Okay. So then, so we'll just say you just passed the first cave. Are we muted to Carve or?
Carv's eating right now, so yeah, that's why.
Carve is
Oh,
not
okay.
muted. He had a fantastic
Okay.
accent he was working out. Pirate.
That's
What I was
awesome.
saying was that we had looked through the various caves, and what we'd found was the first cave had guards sent in, but they didn't return. A smell of fresh air, but rotten meat, vegetables, and rotten eggs were up that way, thanks to Pine Leaf's culinary check. Secondly, we ran into a cave that had fire in it, but we didn't explore it because it seemed like it was volcanic in nature, if I recall correctly. Third, we ran into an underground river that cascaded into a ravine.
It wasn't an underground river.
It was
did-
water.
Yeah, it dipped down, but you came out like a cave in the side of a cliff where there was a river at the bottom of a ravine.
Okay. That's what we found.
Okay. So you passed the 3 tunnels that the guards had tried exploring, and so you're back in the main tunnel now. Unless you want to continue down the ravine. I think you decided to. Actually, I don't know if you actually. I don't think you went down that one. The guards told you that.
No, we didn't. We didn't go that far. We were actually trying to go down to the 4th tunnel to see what was going on there.
All right. So you come to the 4th tunnel. It's on your. Does everyone still want to look inside this tunnel? It's on your left-hand side, and it's dark. That's all you know.
And Ning's trying to figure out which way's left.
That's so Andang.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
All right.
You know, I could hear Sarissa say, "No, Andang, the other left."
In regards to what we hear, I'm using my survival skills to find out what's going on down this tunnel.
Okay.
Where's my character sheet? Not that one. Not that one. That one. Doing a survival roll to see what I can detect.
You don't hear any particular noises, but like while you're straining to listen to them, you pick up less a sound, more like that sort of like hollow, resounding impression that this is a very long tunnel, and so you hear like there's sort of like the cavern noise as you sort of like stick your head inside. If you were to like whisper something, you would hear like the very deep like reverberation in the air.
Echo, 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 tap.
This one sounds deep and empty, so I say we dig.
Dig,
We
dig,
move on.
dig. On.
At this
Okay,
point,
so
Carver's made his mind up that he pretty much just wants to get an idea about what's in the tunnels, but he's not really looking to go that deep because there is a meeting to attend.
That's right.
Okay, so if you're moving on, you come to another tunnel.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. I don't know. You might
Another
be.
tunnel?
Yeah. I mean, technically, you've passed all of these tunnels 3 times before, so.
Right.
Yeah. So you're here. This is the tunnel that would be in the middle of this main tunnel that leads you to the encampment. Or is someone gonna try to do a check? It's a dark tunnel. This one does seem to be like a bit larger around than the others. You can sort of tell by a cursory look. It's not as large as the main tunnel that you're in, but most of the other ones were the sort of you could get by. It would be like maybe two people standing with their arms out would fit through. This one, maybe a good 3 or 4 people could do that.
Tap.
All right. Well, I'm doing another survival skill to look around and see if I detect anything. Where'd it go?
Oh,
You notice that it's slightly larger, but other than that, you can't tell any difference. Like this tunnel seems the same as the one that you're in. Nothing stands out. No smells. No. I mean, I guess if it helps, you don't get that same. This is a very long tunnel effect that you did with the other one. Meanwhile, Andang slips and falls.
Ending's preparing to be stealthy in the event that something might need to happen with that kind of a roll.
He says, I listened for the echoes of Ending's noise to detect like the cave size and whatnot. And there was something I was going to use for that. I don't see it. I'm going to say that was it. Well, I guess that'd be a navigation, maybe.
To do what exactly?
Just listening for the sound of Andang's echoes as he falls, and listening for the clang as it reverberates through the cave to kind of get an idea about how far down it goes.
So are you actually like going into the tunnel?
No, I'm not going into it. I'm just listening because Andang fell and he made noise, which would have reverberated down the tunnel.
Oh.
That's my interpretation of what you said there.
Andang never fell.
Well, he said you fell. I just threw out an insight check to see if I heard anything.
No. Insight is more for reading people anyway. But,
okay.
You would hear an echo, but it doesn't really tell you anything about this tunnel.
All right.
But yeah, we'll just say Andang stealthily whispered down the tunnel, and
yeah, if we'll just sort of like the two roles work together. Like Carve didn't really hear anything, Andang got worried, so like tried to get a better position, but then that wound up being all that Carve was hearing, so he strains to keep hearing, so Andang gets even more worried.
All right, let's go to the next tunnel then.
Okay. So as you leave this tunnel, come towards this new one. Let me make a roll now.
uh-oh.
Tap, tap, tap.
Yeah, okay. So
Uh-oh.
May. You are the first to notice, but so you'll notice, you'll have a chance to sort of react, but then everyone else is also going to notice. There's sort of like so the thing that everyone will notice is sort of a shaking on the ground. But May, you also sort of hear just a voice. You can't place it, but it seems kind of familiar to you. Just sort of the words, just like, "Turn back."
Oh, wow. Does anybody hear that voice? Am I the only one hearing that voice?
I don't hear a voice,
You
but
feel the ground shake.
ground is rumbling, and that's can't possibly be a good sign.
It is really shaking. This is messing
Well,
with
I
me.
just am hearing a voice that's, I think, is saying turn back. So I'm a little nervous. We're almost at the end of our taps, aren't we? Isn't it time for that meeting? Let's go to the meeting. Come on, Sarissa.
Can I determine if the ground shaking is rhythmic like footsteps or if it's like somebody causing it to shake?
It's like, give me a wits check.
We have enough torches we can go back by ourselves, right?
I like what I'm hearing.
Like May and I can turn back.
I mean, if you'd like to, yeah, you should be able to.
And the voice says, "Turn back." You turn back.
So are you going to? It looks like May is turning back.
Also, it's been quite a
Yeah.
number of taps, so yeah, I'm with May.
I guess it's sort of because you'd worked out a system, so I'd assume you have some way of just translating like number of taps into like duration of time.
Yeah.
So you are at
May
about
may
like
not
the
have worked
halfway.
that out, but I've got that worked out.
Like you're not quite yet. So if you wanted to continue going a little further, you probably could. But so you're almost at the sort of halfway point before you need to go back to make the meeting.
Yeah, well, shaking tunnels is a good incentive to get the heck out of here.
The voice said turn
Carve.
back before we got to the next tunnel.
Yeah, you're
Just
between
happened.
the tunnel you just left.
Okay.
Carve, like, I guess sort of just as a dwarf, like the sort of, like, you may not appreciate the cave so much, but you can tell the difference between, like, a cave-in kind of rumble and, like, the ground-pounding kind of footsteps rumble. And
Oh.
it's like something had fallen down somewhere, and the earth is shaking because of it. It's no longer shaking.
Something
Behind.
fell.
It's reminiscent of, like, a cave-in. Or like an aftershock of an earthquake. That kind of shaking, not footsteps.
Okay.
So the Rangers were also geologists, and I learned all about. I'm just kidding.
So is there a reason why we should turn back? Does anyone have any idea?
I'm already gone.
Yeah, I think we should go back, guys. There's a meeting,
Alright.
and
We have a meeting.
rumbling's not good.
All right, back to the meeting then.
Alright.
Alright, so if everyone's headed back, we'll say May's just sort of like moving either ahead or behind of the group.
Oh, she's ahead. She left early.
Yeah,
Okay.
She's on follow of Terry, of course.
You mean Sarissa?
Sarissa.
That too.
May just leaves the cave, starts going back to Trestle Bridge. Or more likely, she turns and just starts walking into the wall. Meanwhile, the rest of you continue down the tunnel, and so like as you pass by the cave that you just left, nothing seems to have changed by this tunnel. Are you pressing on?
We're heading back to the Hillman, so we're just
Okay.
gonna
All right.
Yeah,
keep ourselves
I put on my
weary and-
sprint buff at this point.
Oh, okay. So if you're hurrying, then yeah. So like So I mean, just the sort of if you're expecting there to have been like one of the tunnels caved in to be the cause of this quake, all the tunnels seem intact and nothing seems any different about them now that you're passing them on your return trip. As you pass the last tunnel that the guards disappeared down and no one came back from, and as you're approaching the entrance to the large cave where the Hillmen are camping, you notice it's a lot brighter than it used to be. Like there's more light spilling out of the entryway into the tunnel than before.
I run in and I look up.
Okay, you run in and you look up.
Well, I
That's what he said, GM.
I run in and I
Okay.
look up and around.
So you're running towards the cave. Like you'll see it first, but I'm gonna say you're just running in. The barricades are intact. However, there's just chaos all around you. As you look up, the giant mirror thing is gone. There's like maybe 4 or 5 different holes in the ceiling that have just caved in. There's broken rock, underneath those holes where things have fallen. But what catches your eye most of all isn't the landslide or the people running in panic in the village, or like the chaos and small fires that have started. It's the fact that there seems to be a battle going on in this cave, and it seems like there's two clans of hillmen just sort of fighting, or possibly the same clan of hillmen that turned against itself. I don't think you'd be able to tell the difference. But on all of the the walkways to the different caves embedded inside the walls where people had homes, some people are, some of those, like the hides are on fire. There's people fighting on all of those. The mirror is like shattered into a bunch of just like metal fragments on the ground. By now is probably when everyone else comes and just beholds this mayhem.
So Anding processes this as somebody broke the mirror, and that caused 7 years of bad luck, and this is the start of that.
Can we see if the tent of leadership is on fire?
If you look towards there, the tent of leadership is not on fire.
Right.
The core of the village, that's where the defense seems to be mounting.
Okay.
The invaders came through these holes, and they're sort of working their way to the main village where you're familiar with.
I think the first thing we need to do is figure out who's who.
Yeah. Can we see anybody we recognize, like any of the guards that we know, like that chief fella, the chief of the guards guy?
Okay. Yeah. Maudal was probably the largest of the hillmen that you met, so he's just like striking an imposing figure. He's at like the main entrance to like that street that you'd always walk down, being heroic, and he's trying to rally like the rest of the guard, trying to get people to stand, not to panic, trying to make sure everyone's sort of like tucked away. They seem to be sending everyone towards the tent of leadership, and that's where like there's a greater guard presence. If you want to try determining who's who for the people fighting like elsewhere, because the fighting hasn't made its way there yet, either an insight or a cultured people check, or lore people check, sorry. Yeah, they look, all hillmen look alike. But not to Sarissa, because she's been,
I've been
She's been
studying
paying
all
attention.
the hillmen.
She's been paying
I
attention.
like how these roles are working out, because Sarissa actually would be the one with the best chance of knowing.
She picks up on the different hand gestures between the tribes on like how they're fighting.
Also, how they're dressed, what they're wearing.
Yeah, that's probably that's the sort of the giveaway that you notice, is that they're all wearing these like hide clothing, but they're in each group of people fighting, there seems to be like a new clan or a new maybe like sub-clan or something. They have like hide dress. It's sort of like wrapped differently, and there's also like feather adornments on like a shoulder. And it's not like a uniform, it's not consistent, but there is some sort of like feather element that unifies them. And so these definitely weren't people who were in this village that have suddenly risen up in rebellion. These people came from the outside.
Ugh, they all look alike to me. Sarissa, Andang, do you see anything different?
Yeah, I can tell which ones are the ones we're here to help.
Okay, who are they?
And I point them out to everybody else.
So, Feather's good or bad?
Feathers are bad, right?
These are the these are the people who are not the people from this village. If they're attacking the people from this village, then they might be your enemies too.
Okay, Feather's bad.
Yeah.
Alright.
To clarify, right now though, no one seems to have noticed you emerging from the tunnel.
Which is
Everyone
totally fine
else
with me.
is kind of busy.
Because of my stealth roll.
We need to get to somewhere in the middle. Let's get to higher ground. Anybody gets in our way, we mow them down.
Okay. So just to be higher ground means moving away from the core of the village.
We need to get to the
We
tent
need
with
to get
leadership.
to where the core of the defense is then.
Okay. So then that's just on the cave floor. So there's small pockets of fighting. I guess we'll find out if anything comes your way. Okay, so yeah, as you're making your way, it's a pretty straight path to the entrance of that street. Maudal probably notices you and like shouts something that's sort of lost in the fray, waves towards you. But like at that moment, that's when just like one of these other small skirmishes just sort of crosses your path. There's like probably like the hillmen of this village are definitely outnumbered, so I'd say there's maybe there is the hillman of this village is outnumbered, and we'll say okay. So, and there's two of these feathered people who are fighting him. He seems to be holding his own, and suddenly they're in your path. I'm noticing that Sarissa is
Sneaking.
nowhere to be found.
Sarissa's gone.
What did you do with this stealth?
I snagged some hides from the ground, probably somewhere, and
Like a fallen person.
yeah, and I'm sort of doing my best to blend in so I can move among the crowd. You know, I have a feather in one hand and the hide held in the other, and if I need to use the feather so I look like one of them, I use the feather, and if I don't need to use the feather, I drop it. You know, I'm trying to get unnoticed to the tent.
Okay. Give me a deception roll. And keep in mind that if you're trying to make your way towards the tent while dressed as one of the invaders, if you have a good disguise, which you do, some of the guards are probably going to try to stop you. I'll let your stealth carry that.
Yeah, it's basically sort of, if I need to look like the invaders because I'm passing through the group of invaders, then I can do that. That's what the feather's for. And then when that group is passed, I drop the feather. You know, it's still in my hand, but it's kind of concealed, so it's not always visible.
Oh, I see. You're not like Okay, I understand.
No, I'm not. I'm only displaying the feather if I think it's necessary to display the feather. Like if those are the people that are in my way.
I see. Okay. The rest of you, meanwhile, there are two unfortunate trespassers who have suddenly crossed your path. What are the rest of you going to try to do?
I'm going to try to see how powerful or strong these particular warriors are by using the soldier skill.
Okay. Sure. So they've definitely been trained in martial conflict. This is probably when you start to notice that they each have a feather. So they've been organized, and they are probably here to attack the village. I guess maybe if you sort of like look up from these two and just sort of notice like the fanning out movements of everyone else, you can't necessarily tell what sort of pattern they're trying to do, but they're definitely following some previous regimen.
Oh, I just had a thought. Can I backpedal for a second?
Depends.
Well, before disappearing, I just want to like lean up to Andang and go, "Beware the Falconer! Beware the Falconer, Andang!" And then
and then tap 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 as you walk.
I don't
What'd
even
she
know
say?
Tapping anymore.
What'd she say, Andang?
She said something about this crazy backstory that happened at the start of the episode. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
In fairness, I didn't think you were going to reach this until next episode.
Beware the Falconer! The bad guys have feathers. Come on.
All right. Okay, so that means the leader of this is going to be a wretched falconer.
Let's hope not. I'm gonna go ahead and attack after making that, assuming that it's my turn still. We haven't really done combat with this new system yet, so.
No. I mean, so there's no turns, but I'm going to say you just made an action, so I'm going to give Carve and Pine a
Okay.
chance to do something while you're surveying.
Sounds good.
So Carve and Pine, are you doing anything while Ending is?
So Ending just sprung into action by pulling swords out.
I guess yeah. Like
All right.
I'm prepping for battle, basically.
yeah, the battle is joined.
Okay.
Right now, though, these two opponents are still focused on this other Hillman guy.
Well, if they're attacking the other Hillman guy that we've been more or less working with, and I see Endang pull swords, I can see where this is going. So, I grab my axe off the belt loop. I've always got my shield up, and I'm just gonna go at this. I'm gonna flank one of them and bash him with my shield into the other guy.
All right, combat melee.
That would be melee.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll say like you bash him, but it doesn't. Now this one notices the rest of you, and so he's probably gonna swing back at you. Give me an agility check to see if you dodge. I guess I should describe what they have. They have sort of like they're like the hand axes that you would see for throwing, but the blade is a little bit longer. And they're dual wielding basically, and so as they're attacking this guy, they're basically just sort of in this constant like hacking, swirling motion is their fighting style, and so this one sort of like dodges, but he's probably like he felt the shield hit him, and so he just knew that there was someone attacking, so he lashed out, but he swung too high for a dwarf, and so the blade just passes over your head.
Works for me.
All
Pine
right.
leaf.
Well, with all that swinging around, maybe I could get a spear under him.
There you go.
All right.
Stick him, Pine.
Oh yeah. You probably just like while he's swinging, he's confused because now he notices that his opponent is like a dwarf, and as he looks over to you, there's just this bewildered, confused expression. You just plunge your spear through him.
He smells the hint of cinnamon from your backpack.
Alright, so ending.
Yeah, I'm
Like
gonna.
at this point, the other person has probably noticed that like his friend isn't there anymore, and so he's
So the first guy's definitely gone.
first guy's gone. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna attack the second guy with my double swords.
Okay, yeah. So you probably go swinging, but it's sort of like the trauma of noticing his friend gone has sort of like jolted his adrenaline, and so like you hit him, but you just sort of like score his shoulder, and he's able to like parry the rest of your attack away with his other hand axe.
Okay.
The friendly hillman is going to make basically what would it be, a heart check. Just to see if he sticks around to help you or if he tries to flee now that he can. And he's gone. He's running back towards the center where everyone else is trying to rally. So this guy probably he's going to attack Andang because you're closest. So give me a.
I thought it was because he was tallest.
I mean, that too, probably.
He's the biggest threat, literally.
Yeah, so go ahead and give me an agility or might, whichever one. Okay. So he scores you a little bit, but you're able to move out of the way. How do you want to paint the picture? What were you trying to do to dodge? He's just swinging.
Clearly, I stealthily jump out of the way.
Okay. So he just happens to sort of like scratch you on, kind of like blow for blow. He's like scored a line on your shoulder. Go ahead, take just 1d4 damage. Or shall I roll that?
You can roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not too bad. But, yeah, okay, so Pine Leaf or Carve, whichever one of you wants to move. I think Pine Leaf might still be dealing with dude on a stick, so...
Alright, well, since Pine grabbed the last one, I'm going to move to assist Andang by attacking with my axe.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so you're swinging with your axe this time, not like a shield bash.
Yep.
Alright. So yeah, you also catch him, but I think it's just the sort of just the bad, like the angle at which you're going and just the motion by which he's, like he's always in motion, always swinging. And so your blade, it cuts through like the hide, but just the way that he's moving, it slides, and so it doesn't cut into him as much as it would have ordinarily. But yeah, so he's got 2 wounds on him now. He's starting to slow down a bit. He's getting tired.
Now maybe Pine Leaf's got her spear
Yeah.
on the other guy.
It's Pine Leaf if you're ready to go 2 for 2. Yeah. So like, are you throwing this or?
No, I presume that if throwing stuff is going to be rather dangerous in this particular melee.
Okay, yeah, that's a good call. So you probably just pull your spear back and then maybe just like plunge it off to the side behind you, and yeah, it just catches
Probably
the
easier just easier to drop the first one and draw another one.
Oh, you have multiple. Okay.
I've got 3 of them.
Oh, okay then. Then yeah. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Then you just pull another one and just casually just stick this guy.
Yeah.
Wardens are overpowered.
Well, I mean, you softened this one up for her.
That's right, I did. Heroic ending.
So yeah, the path is clear if you want to follow this hillman running away back to the defenses of the main village.
Ending is wondering what happened to the 2 minstrels that should be healing him right now.
First of all, you know that Sarissa's not a minstrel.
Right, but at least the 1 minstrel wondering where that healer is.
You left her walking into a wall.
Elves, am I right?
Seriously.
Okay, yeah. So I guess maybe we'll cut back. So I assume the rest of you are going to continue on your mission to reach the rest of the village.
Yeah, we're looking for the leadership, so we continue
Indeed,
towards
yeah.
the center.
Okay, so we'll cut back to Sarissa a bit. So you're passing by, like in this, like I've been calling it a street. We'll call it a street. By all of the tents and camps that have been set up, and like fires are either put out or out of control. And you don't notice a lot of people necessarily stayed behind to cower. Everyone seems to be either in the fray itself or running for safety at the main tent.
Okay.
I think you probably notice. Let me do a roll. Yo, you haven't seen him in a while, but he's like running in the other direction from the tent of leadership, and he has his like that broadsword, that the ornamental one that you've seen him with before, and he has like a little bit, like he's replaced some of the hides that were torn, and he looks like fresh and prepared for battle. He just has a very grim look on his face as he goes rushing out, but then. How stealthy are you? If you don't want him to notice you, he won't notice you. But
well, you saw that roll. I'm super stealthy, but
yeah, I mean that's why I'm letting. If you want to call
no,
out,
I definitely want him to notice me. Fuel.
Okay, so like he pauses and then like you sort of like seem to come, and he's like, "Oh, hello. It's good to see you again. I was wondering where the rest of you were. We should go join the battle. We're under attack. I don't even know who these people are, but They've killed too many of our own already.
What's going on at the main tent? Is your mother all right?
Like he looks back and like shakes his head. He's like, they should be out fighting, but this seems to be the safest place yet, just because no one else has come down this far. But if everyone cowers back there, they're going to get there eventually. I'm going to go do my part. It is what would be expected of me. But yes, my mother is fine.
Well, not everybody is cut out for fighting, unfortunately. I myself am not a fighter. However, Anding and Carvet and Pineleaf are back that way, and I'll point him in that direction.
Okay, thank you. Perhaps I shall meet up with them.
You should definitely meet up with them.
Like he gives you a nod, and if you're not going to say anything else, he's just going to resume running back to the fray.
Okay, so I'm going to just kind of watch him with a worried look on for a minute and then continue on the way to the main tent. Because I'm really worried about that guy. I really hope they manage to keep him alive. Keep him alive, guys!
Okay, so yeah, you make it to the main tent, and inside are mostly like the the elderly, the women, the children. It's very cramped because this wasn't like a pavilion style tent to begin with, and now pretty much any of the survivors from the main camp, like you can understand that for the most part, the people who were living in the walls were pretty much doomed. So everyone here are the refugees from like the cave floor level.
Refugees and refugees.
Yeah, exactly. These guys just have very bad luck, don't they?
Yeah.
Could be worse, but so yeah, everyone's in there.
It could have been the other encampment that we found totally slaughtered.
I wonder what happened there. But the Shannon Biana, she's she's sort of like moving from like family to family, like. From her expression, you can probably tell, like, you've seen this before, probably, like, the same sort of look that you would give to Andang when it's, like, the sort of, like, everything's gonna be fine, you just have to do what you have to do, we're gonna get through this. Like, that kind of look, but, understandably more softer and more reassuring. Like, does she notice you enter the room?
Yes, because at this point I'm no longer trying to be stealthy.
Okay, so like she.
But
she
I totally am
notices you.
hanging on to that feather. It's stuck in my pouch.
Okay. She probably wouldn't notice that like level of detail because she recognizes you, understands that you have been a friend in the past, has no reason to suspect you of being an enemy yet. So like she like nods you in greeting. She doesn't come towards you, doesn't motion you towards her. If you look around the tent. There, we'll see if there's. Okay, yeah. You don't really recognize anyone else. Oh, okay. You know what? You don't recognize anyone else, but we, the audience, would probably recognize like Clabber's mother, like in a corner, looking worried. But Sarissa, sorry, wouldn't recognize her because only Pineleaf has met her so far.
Right. Shannon Biana, what can I do to help?
Okay, so you move to Biana.
Yes.
She says, if you have any skill with fighting, you would probably be best served out here. But for those of us who are not fighters, we can only hope. But, we must stay strong. If we give up hope, then we are doomed to be sure.
I have no skill with fighting. But I'm great with hope. Ish.
You're a minstrel. Will you play us something? Maybe something to keep the spirits of the young up.
I'm not sure that a rousing song would be a very good idea.
Not rousing. You know any lullabies? Something to calm them down. If they start shouting, they'll give away how many people we have here, and then we become a greater target to those attacking us.
I do know a lullaby. We'll get my flute out and play it.
A stealth song.
A stealth song, yeah.
Stealthy lullaby.
Apparently, when you roll a perfect score, you get stealth songs as part of your perks.
All right. You do have a flute skill.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. No one questions that you are a minstrel. It's a very good song. And like people, like it's the sort of thing where the tune itself is soothing. But actually, is there like a particular tune? Like, does this tune have any meaning to you that you chose to play it now?
No. It's something I've picked up in my travels.
Okay.
It's
One-
what
one
you
of the-
use to put Anding to sleep every night. Is this?
Learn more about your relationship.
He starts to get sleepy. He gets a negative $1 rolls.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. He can't hear it right now anyway. But yeah, so I guess it's just sort of like it's a pleasant melody. Certainly, no one here would recognize it if it's something that you've heard from your travels. But yeah, it's like it's a very soothing tune in itself, and it also probably like reminds them of like simpler times, and so there's less consternation, more just sort of like we'll wait here. The rest of you, the fighters of the group, you reach sort of like the entrance to the street, and you see Fjol rushing out, and he says, hello. I don't remember her name, but the minstrel, not the pointy-eared one, the other minstrel said that I could find you here. Shall we go to battle together?
Yeah, and
You
I
have
get
my
my
axe.
weapons ready.
Right?
Excellent. And so,
I'm so bummed he doesn't remember my name.
if one of you wants to do a tactics roll to sort of find the best way to proceed, basically on a good roll, you won't do something stupid. On a bad roll, Fjol will go run and do something stupid.
Anybody have any skill at tactics?
Well, I've got at least I'm up to 0.
Better
I'm
than
up to 0 as well.
I'm all about survival, not tactics.
Okay. So yeah, so that's good enough to keep Fjol from doing something stupid, but yeah, so you don't really notice any tactical advantage. There's just it's chaos, right? There's just a bunch of like small pockets of fighting everywhere. So do you just like choose the nearest one and go to help out where you can?
We'll choose the
Let's
nearest
see.
skirmish and send Pineleaf as our front guard, basically.
Do we have any idea if any of these guys look more ornate than others? Like there's a couple extra feathers on their shoulder or something?
That's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to do like insight, culture traveler, or lore people.
I'm running insight.
Okay. Can you give me just a wits check, just to sort of establish like the scope of what you're looking at? Okay, yeah. So everyone on the ground floor that you can see, they all seem to be just like the foot soldiers. No one's really like they're just fighting people what they see. No one's giving orders that you can tell, and no one seems to be looking to someone else for orders.
All right. Well, I suggest we pick the nearest group and flank them and beat them.
Okay. So nearest group will have 5 bad guys, but we'll have 4 good guys. So it's pretty evenly matched. Maybe that's why you chose it, so that now you can lend your strength to turn the tide. So like who moves first? Or are you gonna let Phil?
Can we flank the bad guys from this point, or is it just the cluster of people fighting each other? Is it like battle lines?
Someone give me a fate check. We'll see how lucky you are.
I'm feeling saucy tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they might actually be like a nice, like almost a line of just bad guys on one side, good guys on the other side. So if you want to like move around them, you can totally do that.
Well, I say we flank them.
Okay.
Let's move around them. Let the helmet allies face them, and then we come at them from the sides.
Oh, so you're doing like a full flank.
Well, I want to flank him. If Andang wants to hit me from the same side or get behind him, or if he wants to go from the other side, that's fine too. What do you say, Andy?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, Andy, let's do it.
All right. Who strikes first?
The dwarf that yelled, "Let's do it." There was
Baruch Hazard!
Do you actually yell that?
Wow.
I think you actually yelled that.
With that kind of roll, he yells it for sure.
I did
Yeah.
yell that.
So yeah, I mean, you probably you just axe and shielding it. Yeah, so like you definitely just like crunch like the back or the like chest of whoever you flanked first, that poor unfortunate soul, and then probably just like just like kept with the momentum and just bashed the person next to him. So like he's a bit stunned. If you did yell, you have sort of given away your element of surprise, but they're still like in shock at seeing, oh, there's new people. We weren't expecting this.
Dwarven war cry.
Yeah, it was a
Always.
charging flank kind of thing where you're just trying to surprise them by getting them off guard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like Pine Leaf. Are you charging with them, or are you trying to get moving from a different direction to outflank them?
I am. Let's see. Probably depends on.
Like the idea is like you basically have like 180 degrees where you can be flanking them. So like if Carve is coming from one end of that, then Pine Leaf you can come from the other side if you'd like.
Probably because I do tend to. I've tend to been striking out from where they're not expecting recently.
Definitely from
All
below.
Okay, so let's see what I could get here.
Wow, yeah. I can tell you must have just been like really all of these bad dreams and just being completely unsettled all the time. You and Carve are just ready to go.
Yes.
So yeah, like you take out someone too. I'm assuming with your spear. I'm also assuming you've recovered your other spears. I'm not gonna say you only have one left.
Okay.
So yeah, like you've taken out this other guy, so now they're pretty much in a panic. I'm actually gonna, you've taken down 2 of the 5. One of them is gonna be, he's stunned for a while. I'm gonna find out if the other 2 are even gonna bother staying to fight against suddenly 8 people instead of just 4. When it's just the 2 of them. Yeah, okay, they're gonna turn and run. If you'd like to end them or try to capture them, someone can make a move to try and do that.
Well, the stunned guy's still stunned. I reach across as the one guy turns to move. The next guy, I hack at his back with my axe.
Okay. Sure. Okay. He's too scared. He's moving too quickly for you. So you just sort of whiff. Andang, you're with Carve, so.
Yeah, so there's still a stunned guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's still stunned.
So
one of the fleeing
Carve's
guys.
doing that. I'm actually going to teach the remaining soldiers how to properly strike a stunned soldier with my instructor skill.
You're a sick one, Andang.
I'm trying to decide if that roll means they start fighting each other by accident, or No, I think
Considering they don't speak the same language, they're probably all just stunned, going.
yeah.
Like, what?
They're probably just like not even paying attention. Like what is this guy doing? Like let's go get these guys.
Yeah.
Or like
Awesome.
there is stuff to do. Why are you trying to stop and make gibberish noises at us? Yeah, okay. Fiol is taking off after these two. He's just angry. He's probably like shouting like their own version of Baruch Khazad. I don't think I have an expression ready for what that would be. But yeah, he's just like the fire of battle is in his eyes. We'll see if he catches up to them. Oh yeah. So he catches up to them, and yeah, okay. So he's sort of just like continue the fight. He's just slashing at them, but now they've stopped, and since it's only 2 against 1 now, they figure they can probably take down this guy. So the battle has sort of moved away from the group. If you'd like to follow that.
I see Phil run past, and I go after him.
Okay, sure.
I do the same, yeah. Definitely want to stay with Fuel.
Okay, so
He speaks our language. We need to keep him alive.
Yeah, he's the only translator.
He's one of the
Aside
few.
from the lady, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so one of you give me an agility check to see if you get there before something happens. Ooh, okay, you don't. So I'm gonna roll. Yeah, okay, so alright, they're in the middle of fighting. Fiol actually seems to be doing very well. He's getting they're getting a few cuts in, but he's just sort of like shrugging it off. And he's probably using like the bulk of his broadsword to great advantage and just keeping them at bay. At a distance where they can't really swing with their hand axes. Yeah, so you two at least, Pine Leaf, they're probably within throwing distance. If you want to try making a shot.
I'm not as concerned with the guys running as they are. I'm surveying to see what else is happening within my vicinity before those guys ran away to see if there's anything I could do useful in that area.
Okay, give me a wits check.
Which one?
Wits, sorry.
Wits. Okay, wits. Not very witty.
Yeah, so I mean, you see the other pockets of fighting that are going on. If you want to try and lending your aid to another one.
All right, I'll see the. Yeah, I'll try to get to the nearest one where. Let's see. Where I'm at, where I'll be behind the enemy as opposed to behind our friends, so to speak.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, you can do that. Like even if the closest one is the sort of like the friends are closer to you, there's like enough space between these pockets where you could move around to get into a position you want.
All right.
Again, like in each of these pockets of fighting, like that is the more immediate concern. So you can basically choose where in each of these pockets you want to show up in this fighting.
Okay. Well, then I'll find a decent pocket and jab my spear.
All right. Yeah. Nobody puts pine leaf in a bag.
He found a spot to jab it, all right.
Yeah, it's like you take like probably morale in sort of the immediate area is starting to go up, like in each of these pockets that you're entering. Just this girl who can just come in and take out people with one shot.
Quack, quack, quack.
Yeah. Let's
OP
see.
wardens are OP.
See how many people were in this group. Okay, yeah. So this is actually looking good. So yeah, like these people were already outnumbered to begin with. Now, there's 4 Hillmen plus you, and then there's 2 of them left now because you've just killed the 3rd one. So back to Fiol and the others. Carvanding, you're in a position to do something now.
I do have a bow, a ranger bow that I could use, so I'm going to try to fire that at one of the people that Fuel is chasing. And try to slow them down essentially with their leg type stuff.
Well, didn't these guys already stop and try to fight? They're already in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Okay, well I'm going to shoot at them still.
Okay. Like you narrowly miss one of them, but you don't hit Fuel or Carve.
That's good.
Carve, you're closer.
An
arrow like comes whizzing over your shoulder.
Watch out, Andy!
Sorry, I need to get better dice.
As I'm yelling over my shoulder, watch out, shoulder, my axe is coming down, whipping past Fuel because I'm ducking underneath his broadsword and I'm going for the midsection of one of the guys on the other side of him.
Yeah. Yeah, so you probably like you don't cut into him. Maybe like your axe is at the wrong angle, but you'd like knock the wind out of him, and he like stumbles backwards. He probably like catches himself, but yeah. So like he catches himself, like has your attention, but the other person has sort of noticed you, and he's gonna try and like attack from behind. Give me a athletics or acrobatics check, depending on how you want to address this attack coming from behind. Okay, so you probably, like you notice it, and you sort of like duck out of the way, but like one goes swinging over your head, and so you probably sort of like relax a little bit, but then like the backhand of the other axe just comes clanging against. I assume you have a helmet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So take like say like 1d3. So like take 2 damage to your morale. It's not like a physical wound. It's just sort of you're rattled now.
Okay.
Pineleaf, our glorious leader. What do you want to do?
All right. Find the next pocket.
Okay, so your strategy is to basically go and just really stack the odds in favor of the home hillman in each of these pockets.
Yeah, the idea there is to, all right. If if the enemy is still strong at the pocket I am, I'll remain in the same pocket. But if it looks like our side is starting to get the advantage there, I will go to the next one.
Okay. Give me a. Let me see. I kind of want to say a navigation. Yeah, give me a. Hold on, let me check your other things. Give me a navigation roll. And I'll add 1 to whatever the roll is.
Navigation. Well, okay, I'm guaranteed to get lost.
So this is more of like a social navigation. So I'm not using your the skill modifier per se. It's a I'm using your heart modifier. So when you roll, it'll be at -1, but I want it to be +0. So we'll just add 1 to whatever you roll.
Okay.
Okay.
Some hard math there.
Yeah, so I think the sort of as you're looking for the next pocket, you sort of you're distracted from what's going on, and one of the other people actually attacks you. Yeah, dealing you 4 damage.
Ow.
He auto hit it?
I mean, you failed, so that means he hit.
Hey, what good is a shield if they?
Well, I mean, the social navigation is being able to move seamlessly from one pocket to the next. Your failing on that is while you were distracted, they got the jump on you.
Okay. Oh, 4 damage.
So I guess Fuel is going to take his guy. Yeah, so he does like he maybe like scores a cut or something while this guy had been attacking Carve, and he's also sort of like regained like he's now the more immediate threat again. So Carve, you're free. Like this guy who just sort of like clanged you in the back of the head on your helmet, like the ringing has stopped and like he's still.
Can I get my morale back then? Was that temporary morale loss, or am I back into my dwarven faculties?
No, not mechanically. Your morale is still down, but.
Right. Well, I'm a bit cheesed off that he got the jump on me from behind, so I spin around with my shield, edge blast right into his midsection.
Ooh, okay. Oh yeah.
Right.
You hear like a crack, and he just collapses after you hit him. Ending. What do you? There's still one more guy.
Still one more guy. I'm just gonna try to dual wield him to death.
All right. And yeah, you like slice him up, I guess.
Awesome.
Unless I guess I've been reading too much into this. If you want to, did you want to be any? Did you want to kill them, or did you want them to survive?
No, I want to kill him.
Okay. Okay, then yeah, like you carve him up. We still have armor? Okay, so you can subtract from armor instead of morale, I guess, and split up what points you have. Since that's how we did it in the original rules.
Yeah, it's just however you want to subtract, and morale's healable and armor's not until you go to a vendor or whatever.
Like morale will replenish after combat. Your armor will have to be repaired. However that looks like. So Pineleaf, do you want to handle this person?
Yeah, let's see if I could gut him with a spear.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. No. So I think maybe like you lunge with your spear, but you're moving a little bit slower now, and he actually just grabs it. Give me a. So, like, you have a. How would you deal with that situation if he actually actively grabs your spear?
He grabbed my spear?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Pineleaf would say that the stealing weapons mechanic is already way too used in Lotro. And
it's not that he stole it. It's it went past him, and you still have your grip on it, but now he's also checking it with one hand.
Well, probably the person I would about him with my shield.
Okay. Show me how that looks. Make another melee roll. Yeah, maybe like you don't have enough. Like now he's sort of doing, you were able to strike from out of their range with your spears. Now he's sort of keeping you at bay with your own spear.
I've got this image of the summon with his hand on Pineleaf's forehead. That's messed up.
You can't touch me.
We'll shoot back to the others then. So Fuel's charging on. Like these two guys are dead. What do Carve and Ending? What do you want to do?
I look around to see if there are any Hellman groups that look like the guys on our team are outnumbered by the guys on the Featherheads, and I look for that.
Give me a. I'd say that's a tactics check. Because you're looking for where you'd have the advantage. Okay. You can't really tell. So, like, on the ground floor, especially with your height, it's difficult to sort of make out the composition of the individual groups. But what you can, the place where definitely the Hillmen are at a disadvantage are on, the walkways and the ledges carved into the cave wall.
Which way did Phil go?
He's staying on the ground. He's just like he's basically like if he was like the NPC AI, he's just like looking for nearest target and just making a beeline for them.
He's skirmish soldiering. I see.
Well, Car's thinking, how far away is Pineleaf from our group?
So I mean, because of the previous roll, it wasn't that far from where you were originally, so it's within running distance, but it's not immediately nearby. I'll say if you're like suddenly looking for Pineleaf, you would notice her in this sticky situation. Like there's like a dead person at her feet, but then like one of the attacking hillmen has like grabbed her spear and is keeping it at bay.
I'm just gonna keep running with Theo.
Okay.
Do I see Pineleaf's situation?
Yeah, like if you're looking, then yeah, you see it.
All right, I barrel down on this Yutz full force with my shield to splat him into the ground.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he goes splat. And I think it's also the sort of thing where like he goes down at like the same moment that like the other hillman soldiers like stop like pummeling the other guy like on the floor. And so there's no more threat with that group. They're moving off in search of where else they can be.
Carv sees his hobbit companion on the ground with this guy about to jab her, and he dives with his shield into the other dude, knocking him over, causing his head to smash into a rock. Carv deftly rolls off and says, "There's more heads to cleave."
And Pineleaf says, "That still counts as mine."
Alright, well, I would head back towards Fuel then.
Okay, so
after ending.
Basic tactical regrouping.
Yep.
All right. So I think it's like the sort of like just as since I'm noticing it's about time for us to be wrapping up the session. As you like make your tactical regroup, we'll cut back to Sarissa in the tent. You're with the Shannon. If there's anything you'd like to ask her. If not, she's just gonna ask Legs.
She's gonna do what?
I mean, so is there anything you want to ask first of all?
Do they know of any other way out of the cave that isn't currently being blocked by fighting?
She like sighs and shakes her head and says like, "No, that was what Maradol was trying to map out. We couldn't find any tunnels in the cave wall itself, and that's why some people felt it was safe to make their homes up there. They thought it was more defensible. We never imagined that the ceiling would collapse in on us. As far as we know, the only way out of this cave is through those holes, if you can make your way up the cliff walls, which seems unlikely, or going out the tunnel. That would probably be our safest evacuation route, now that I think about it. Do you think we should start trying to move," and like gestures at everyone in the tent, like back to the tunnel?
I don't think that's a safe way to go right now, but probably people should be prepared to do some sort of movement just in case the fight turns south.
Like she nods, like as though she's heard this before, and says,
Hopefully
yes,
my friends can turn the tide in our favor, though.
This was something that we were hoping to discuss. There had been a little bit of debate between should we try and make this place more defensible, or if we should just try to reach our old homes, since the orcs have been, since the she wouldn't call them orcs, since the monsters have been driven away. I suppose this is the most important question for us to ask right now.
No, Anding, I'm not going to ask that question.
So you're not going to ask if the council meeting's still going on?
No,
as
I'm not going to ask if the council meeting is still going on.
I still gotta have that little powwow.
Alright, so we'll like pause that conversation for now. Outside, like you've regrouped, like you've said your greetings of camaraderie. Like do you want to make a plan what you're going to do now, or save that for the next session?
We'll save that for the next session.
Okay. So then I guess
so
just
we find our way to the leadership tent then.
no. I mean everyone except Sarissa out in the thick of battle. You said you were going to all regroup together again.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
So you've reached like a common point, and I guess maybe like as you're trying to scope out what you're going to do next, something like falls and just embeds itself in the ground next to one of you. Maybe in the center of all of you. I assume you look up to see where it came, or you look to see what it is, and it's a by now all too familiar, just short, red feather fletching arrow that seems to have like cracked into like some of like the hardened, packed earth, and is just sticking up. And if you look to see where it came from, we see our old friend there again. This mysterious, the wrappings are around her. She doesn't have she doesn't have the feathers, but now like with your soldier roll ending or with your inside roll carve, like you now understand that she is behind all of this. And so she's like far up on one of like the higher levels with just like her bow still drawn, or not drawn, but her bow is still up. She's just released, and everyone seems to be like surging from behind her as more of these feather soldiers are making their way down the ledges towards the scene below. And I think with that image is where we'll call it a night.
Our characters still don't know if it's actually what gender it is, right? What gender they are.
No, we know it's a female.
Yeah,
we did figure that out as players.
They saw it fairly clearly.
Okay, I just didn't know if that was shared with the group or
Just
not.
elf eyes.
Cool. Well, that was an awesome episode. Thank you so much, Gray. That was quite the payoff of weeks of craziness that has been going on. So thank you for that. That was awesome. Can't wait to see what's going to happen next. And for that, we'll have to wait 2 more weeks. But we will see you again in 2 weeks for more Tales of the Free Folk. But till then, thank you everyone so much for watching.
Thanks and good night.